Talk me after you. Thanks.
I don't know whether I should be happy or not, because I'm talking after such a great speaker that you tend to be nervous. And I'm not used to speaking, like a speaker anyway. But now, since he has given me this task of speaking on a particular subject, and that is thinking big, so I think I'm bound to speak on this to a certain extent. Of course, Shri Raviji Ladha, that's the president of mcircle, and then chief guest Shri Shankaranji, and eminent speakers from all over India, and ladies and gentlemen. Now, I think the topic of thinking big and expansion is not very relevant in this audience, because every one of you are successful businessmen, youngsters. You have all done new businesses, you have expanded. So, all of you know about the nuances of this business. But still, let me go to a little theory first, which all of you know anyway. But sometimes you know everything, but still, when you hear, you feel good. Probably that's what I could do. As he said, big thinkers are, they have to break so many layers of thoughts, and but still, nothing can succeed just by thinking big and just jumping in it. You have to systematically create some powerful ideas in your mind, and then pursue those ideas, think the pros and cons of those ideas, and then I would suggest that you take a paper and pencil or an iPad and write down all that what you have in the mind. Do it, improve on it, and then when you're almost 80% ready, then you must jump into it. You should not wait until the 100%, that the idea will be good or not, because our experience has been that when you go on thinking and thinking, then you start over-analyzing. फिर ये क्या होगा, फिर इसका क्या होगा, then you ask 20 people. So by the time that enthusiasm reduces, and then you will never go near the project. देखेंगे still next week करेंगे, फिर next month करेंगे, and then suddenly you find the idea may not work. By the time it becomes outdated. So I think if you have a good idea, and if you have done your homework well, I think 80% benchmark is enough. Just jump into it, and then I'm sure that you will cover the 20%. This is one aspect which I thought about it. Secondly, entrepreneurs are normally very self-confident. Any entrepreneur is very self-confident. But sometimes the problem is that you are too overconfident. Because like in our community, everybody is a businessman. So you will think, कि अरे वो तो कपड़े के बिजनेस में था, suddenly went to electronics, और देखो कहाँ से कहाँ पहुँच गया. Yeah, that's just true. It's possible. But I would suggest that you have to do your homework first. You must see where you are getting into it, and what are the growth potential of that business. And then, of course, if it's a totally different line, then better to consult advisors and then get into it. Because I have seen that out of 10, I call that speculation, those who just jump for it. 50 lakh rupiya koi share mein lagaya, you earn 5 crores and you are very happy, and people think, look at him, we can do like that. But I've seen that out of 10 such speculators, 8 don't succeed, they fail. But you never talk about the 8, you always talk about the 2. Have you ever seen those who are in share market saying that I've lost money? Few of them will say that. They'll always talk of success stories. Similarly here also, I think it's better that every side of the homework is done, and then you jump into it. And of course, once you jump into it, as I said, I think you will succeed. But the most important thing in any business is passion. Like he is talking about Miss Sinha, she had the passion. She was not bothered about what the world will say. So passion is very, very important. And you will notice that, see, when you have a passion to do a particular business, initially you don't think of whether I'll make profit or not. Then the passion is not there. Passion is, for example, if in real estate, if you're doing some, you just want to do it. Of course, you will see the downside, you will see what are the negatives and positives, but then you will get into it, and without passion, you can't succeed, of course. So passion is the most important thing, according to me, in any business venture. And if your opportunity coincides with passion, for example, if you have passion of doing garment manufacturing, and if your opportunity, you get there, then nothing succeeds like that. This is, now, how much should be the passion as a question? I would quote a small story. You know, you have all heard of Socrates. So he was a great, he had a lot of wisdom in him. So one person came and asked Socrates that, I want to learn wisdom from you. He looked at him. You know, those days, all these, जैसे rishi and all, they would first test the student कि ये लायक है कि नहीं है. They will not give their thing straight away. So he took him to a pond and told him कि तुम्हारा सर पानी में रखो, पानी में डुबाओ. So he put his head in the water and he pushed his hand with his head, and he wouldn't allow him to come out. And that fellow was panting. After about half a minute, he just released his hand and he was just panting. And he said, Socrates, what have you done? He said, what were you thinking when you were inside? He said, I was thinking of air. He said, that is what. If you have to have so much of passion, like you thought thinking of air, similarly, you should have so much of passion to learn wisdom. Only then you can come and learn. Otherwise, you will not learn. So that passion is very, very important in this kind of business. And another story, of course, is Lakshmi Mittals. You all know that Arsenal, and he's today's biggest steel manufacturer in the world. And he wanted to have collaboration with Arcelor, and he called their number one person, and Lakshmi Mittal, and both of them met. And he said, why not we collaborate with each other? And Mr. Dole, he was the CEO of Arcelor, he said, our cultures don't match. So I think this will not go through. So Mittal went back, and then after about 13 days, he must have thought and thought. But as I said, he was very passionate about steel business. He called Dole and said, I am taking over Arcelor, and it's a hostile takeover. That's allowed in abroad, that you can take any company hostile. This CEO of Dole said, what kind of man is this? So he had some contact in India. So he rang up to a few friends and said, hey, what is he doing here? This Lakshmi Mittal, there's no synergy between the two companies. And why is he jumping into it? He said, you don't know, he's a Marwadi. And hunger and passion for a Marwadi, a European cannot understand. And that's how he succeeded. So this is, of course, one aspect of business. Second is, of course, risk takers. I think all of us, all Rajasthani businessmen are risk takers, and you get rewarded when you take risk. I don't have to quote, but like Birla's, after independence, G.D. Birla thought the country should go in manufacturing line, and he went on acquiring one company or the other. Whether all of you know whether he was the first person to set up a jute mill, the only jute mill, and the others were by the Europeans. But he had the passion to go on, and ultimately I think he became one of the biggest industrialists those times in India. Similarly, if you go, we all think that it's all today, but even hundreds of years back, especially from people from Rajasthan, the very fact that they left Rajasthan and went to all over Calcutta, Chennai, Shankaran, I'm glad my grandfather moved here. You said this is the best, number three, the best number three states in the world. So my grandfather moved here in 1887. Must have been before, because that's the time when our shop was started, maybe 5-6 years before. Now look at their entrepreneurship, that they had no family, they didn't know what they were going to do. I was in Rajasthan just 15 days back, and I was in Didwana, and we were discussing about some bangars, and I was told that the Magni Ramji Bangar wanted to do some business, but he didn't know what to do. So those days the Jyotishi were very popular. So he called his Jyotish and said, "मैं कहाँ जाऊँ, क्या करूँ?" बोले कहीं भी जाओगे तो तकलीफ ही तकलीफ है. बोले मुझे जाना तो है ही. I said, "Go to East." So he went and settled in Calcutta. Similarly, many of our grandparents, of course, all of us now born here, so hardly that story there. And how much they suffered or sacrificed. No family, going once in 1 year, once in 2 years. And that's because they were risk takers and they had passion to do business. And that is how the community succeeded. So I believe the Malpanis of Jaisalmer or the Bansilal Abirchand of Bikaner, those years, 200 years back, they had branches all over India. There were no telephones, there were no communication. Communication was so poor. In 1908, Bansilalji Abirchand he owned 47 villages, 2 cotton mills, 20 gin mills, and multiple branch banking. And they had so much of, the public had so much of faith in their business that a person in a small village, even 2,000 miles away, would give a chit of 500 rupees and he can go and get it in a city. And that's how it worked. So these people were all great entrepreneurs. And of course, now the modern times have changed. But I'm saying that all of you have that entrepreneur blood in all of you. All you need is just to, usko jagana hai. And I would, they told me when I came here that you must share one of your experiences. Normally, I feel very embarrassed to share, but he said, no, you must share your experience of what problem we faced when we started. So I'll just share one experience. Though our group is now they call Jhaver Group of Companies, but frankly, it is RS Jhaver Group of Companies. He's the one who's the founder of our group, and he's the one who took the business forward. He started with that means my father started with his father in business, small business. Then he ventured into imports. Later, within a few years, he became one of the biggest importers of India. He used to import sell all over the country, and he would import hundreds and hundreds of items. When we were small, when we used to go to the godowns, we'll find the biscuits there and the razor blade there and everything what you name, he would import and then did it. Later, he went into, because then after nationalization, after independence, the imports were curbed, and then he went into trading. So we became agents of many lines, paper, yarn, razor blade, etc., etc. Then probably he thought that industry maybe has a better scope. So he acquired 3 companies, Tablets, Zip Industries, Little's Oriental Balm and Pharmaceutical Limited, and he started developing these companies. And all this he did just at the age of 51. He died at the age of 51. And he left this to us. And then, where journey begins is, I was just 27, and we had brothers younger than me. Sorry. So, but then he left this business, and any time when you enter into industrial field, you have teething trouble. So he was going through the teething trouble, and then he wasn't there. So we had to get into just 2 years, since myself, DK, JK, RK, we all come in just 1 year, 6 months, came into business. We didn't know what the nuances of the business were. But we had passion. My brothers had passion, and they said, "Come on, what father did, let's pursue it." And then I remember that we came to a stage where the business is not doing well. We had wealth. Father had left wealth. Let me be honest about it. But every business was losing except one business of trading in paper. So we sat together and we thought that tablets is, that the pharmaceutical company, and my brother DK was looking after the manufacturing and the marketing. So he felt that there is a good scope in this. Scope is okay, but that's the only company, which was also losing. Then, we analyzed that it needed money. It needed a lot of funds. And now to put the funds, father died just 6 months back. We had a house in Saukarpet, Saukarpet. So if the father dies and somebody sells, not my house, one of our ancestors' house, we shifted to Tondiarpet earlier. So there's a big debate that if I sell, what will people say? People will say, Pitaji chale gaye, bachon ne bechna shuru kar diya. And it was a very difficult decision, and that was a heart of Saukarpet. Then of course, we said, no, we'll sell, we'll see what happens. So one of my relative came and told, mat kar yaar, ghar mat bech, log kya bolte. I said, मैं मेरा घर तो बेच रहा हूँ, किसी दूसरे का घर बेच नहीं रहा हूँ. I'll sell. So we sold 2 properties and took loan from against one, and one we sold. And we sold to, of course, in Saukarpet, the Jain Bhavan is there, 3-ground property. We sold that because, in fact, we didn't want to sell to any organization so that the word doesn't spread. But they were the people who gave the maximum money, and we needed money. So we sold to them. And just for information, today, that property which we sold and pumped the money in tablets will be about more than 30 crores as of today. So, but those days it was difficult. So we did that, and then we found that the company was reasonably doing well, in the sense that the losses have been covered to an extent. Then there was a tender in Sri Lanka. We had never exported in our life. That company never exported. So there was a Sri Lanka tender, which was reasonably big. Big is a very difficult word, comparative word. So now we didn't know what to do. Then my brother said, no, we can do it. So we said, okay. So we quoted the tender, not hoping very enthusiastically that it will come to us, but we won the tender. So we won the tender, then we manufactured the goods. We're not sure whether the quality will be accepted. If they reject it, that's all, gone. All the money in the company. But, I think by Father's blessing and God's grace, the tender, we were able to complete it, and that is how the break in one of the companies happened. So what I feel is, what I'm saying is that you should have passion, you should take risks, but you should have always somebody who knows the line. That is very, very important. As I was reading Aditya Birla's book, and he said, either the company should have systems and you should have a leader. If you have systems and if you have no leader, the company will not succeed. And if you have leader and if you have no systems, you can go up to an extent, but later you will not. The company will collapse. So this was one personal experience I thought I'll share with you. And so I think the only thing I would suggest is entrepreneurs are not risk takers. A lot of people say entrepreneurs are risk takers. I don't believe that. They are calculated risk takers. There's a lot of difference between calculated and this. They take risks, but they do not, bet on the farm. They don't put everything in that. So understanding one's ability and limitations is the key part of taking calculated risk. So anyway, this is what a small experience I shared with you. I congratulate the President and members of mcircle to have organized this first ever conclave of Maheshwaris. Even to organize this requires all the abilities like the passion and the risk-taking. It's a risk-taking it was, because he has, Ladaji has told everyone that we are having a conclave. He announced the conclave before and went for the speakers later. It's like that 80%. He did 80%, 20% anyway come, and it has come. So I think I congratulate him, and anyway, thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you very much.